Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I want to talk today about not just Shabbat, but the Shabbat Shabbaton. The Shabbos of all Shabbases, which occurs once a year, and I'm referring, of course, to the holiday of
Yom Kippur.
Yom Kippur, to Yom Kippur, which is the topic of this week's Torah portion, and it is also the section of Torah that we read on Yom Kippur. And I want to think a little bit about what is Yom Kippur, what does it mean? Because one of the Hasidic masters, the Baal Shem Tov, has a very interesting quote that I want to get your thoughts on. And what he says is, there's 2 fast days during the year. And if he was not commanded to fast on these 2 days, he couldn't help but in the spirit of these days to fast. He's referring to Tisha B'Av. Because on Tisha B'Av, he is so overwhelmed with sadness and sorrow that he couldn't find the strength to eat as he thinks about the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem. But on Yom Kippur, he says something very interesting. Even if he was not commanded to fast on Yom Kippur, he would do so. Why? Because he is filled with so much joy on Yom Kippur that he wouldn't have the mental space to remind himself to eat. So my question to us is, what is joyous about Yom Kippur? What is joyous about Yom Kippur? What are your thoughts? Diana?
I think the whole idea, first of all, that the community, if you look at the time of like in the Torah, the community is coming together, and there's just this incredible ritual with the Kohen Gadol, and he's changing like 5 times, and he's cleansing himself, and he's making expiation for himself, his family, the whole community, like everybody. It's like everyone kind of gets a clean slate, and there's something sort of very refreshing. I mean, today people do these like cleanses, whatever. And it's like, oh, we did this cleanse, and it's
Yeah.
like so great. You read all the stuff online.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is like the ultimate spiritual cleanse. And then they even have like the Korban Shlamim, where people get together and it's like a feast. And Zebach HaShlamim, it's joyous, actually.
So there's ritual. There's a number of things there, Diana. For those of you who are following from afar, I'll just share. Diana talks about the drama of the rituals, especially those related to the times of the temple.
And the Seir, and the goat, the Seir Azazel. It's like this.
Even more rituals, which we'll get to. Well, let's give her another chance to knock something out, then we can come back. So, but the rituals are very powerful. And watching the Kohen, who, as Diana noted, is doing the first ritual cleanse. Is that, I think, what you were hinting at? But there is this excitement to watch the Kohen Gadol, who's acting on behalf of the people of Israel. And you said one thing at the end that I forgot, but it was
The Zebach Shlamim.
the sacrifices that we offer. Okay, good. Marge. So there's something positive about having the space to assess where you are and getting to think a little bit about the future. Like that's a gift that we can have like a Shabbat to really think about, our previous year. I know what Diana also said that I remembered, the idea of a clean slate. That's a really cool deal. Okay, it's a really cool deal. And here's the deal, we all know we're going to get it. Like it's like you sign up for the lottery and you know you're going to win, or you go to a game and you guarantee you're going to win. We show up to Yom Kippur and we say who will live, who will die, and very good chances. We've had a couple people faint in my history here on Yom Kippur, but very good chances on the day of Yom Kippur, that we're going to hear the shofar at the end. So there's some built-in, Seema.
The energy that the collective forgiveness creates.
Yeah, we really capture this ritually, but we all come together and we forgive each other, and we should be doing this work individually. But there's this beautiful, when we do the al-Chaitz, and there's a sense of, we're all recognizing our mistakes and we're forgiving each other, which is really powerful. There's a spiritual energy that is felt when you walk into a space of people engaged in prayer. In fact, if you go to Israel and you go to the new Anu Museum, those of you are going to be going, if you're following or you're going to be joining the Israel trip, a great space. And what they do in their new museum is they have this film that cap in their room of all the synagogue models, and it captures the moment of Unatana Tokev, recited by all these different types of diverse Jewish communities. Ashkenaz, Sephard, American, Israeli, Reform, Orthodox, all different types. And the singing permeates the entire room, and you get a sense of that spiritual energy scene that you were talking about. Really good. Yes?
For me, the joyousness of the Yom Kippur is the liturgy and the music. It's a trope that you never hear during the year, and it's so beautiful that, when you hear the Chazanju Hineni and things, it's just, for me, the highlight of my year.
There's some beauty there that the melodies capture and stirs our souls, and that's a great source of getting a sense of joy. Of course, you feel my Maimonides. I'm so caught up in the music, I can't even think about something like eating. Yeah.
It's a reminder of our imperfections, the sins we've committed individually. It's a long list that we recite. But then also we ask for and expect, hope for forgiveness. And we should be filled with joy at the notion that we're starting out the year with a clean slate.
Yeah, once again, as a result of this period of reflection and repentance, hey, we know we're going to make it through, and we have a process. We're not stuck in I don't know, I made this mistake. What am I going to... go to Yom Kippur, and then the following day, brand new start. What a gift. Yes, great, really good, really. Yes, Leah. Yeah.
If the kids are at college, they're taking the day off maybe so they can go to synagogue. And so I know you kind of touched upon that, others touched upon that we stop and everything. But for some people, that really is like the one chance during the year that they do take really to stop and just come. And sometimes that's when they're also coming together with their families. So I see that someone might look forward to that, especially probably people look forward to the break fast.
Yeah.
But that's when they might be seeing people that they might not have seen. Even just coming to synagogue and seeing friends or other people
Yeah.
that you don't see as well.
Yeah, it's a powerful day of reunion. And it's interesting, we started talking about the temple, and everyone would gather in Jerusalem. And now we're talking about the modern ritual of Yom Kippur, of just coming together and seeing students, children that are back from college, family members. So there is a source of joy, and I identify with that, not on the college point yet, but in the sense that Rabbi Korver and I can look out and this room is filled with so many faces that we have long connections with. That's great. Okay. Those are all great answers, and I think we gave a flavor of that even though Yom Kippur has elements of somberness, that there's also sources of joy. We want to bring out another way of looking at it, which comes from the different attributes of what makes Yom Kippur. The first, and what I believe all these elements will lead us to, is to see Yom Kippur as a time where our tradition asks us to look at what is our nature, and then the ritual affirms our nature. And being able to be seen as our true selves is worthy of being filled with joy. On Passover, we celebrate the beginnings of ourselves as a people, but on Yom Kippur, we are all reborn as an individual. And how does Yom Kippur lead us to appreciate the sense of our own unique specialness? First is this idea of kadosh. This week's Torah, second of this week's Torah portion, we're reading 2 Torah portions, Kedoshim. We read, Kedoshim to you, you are to be holy. And Rashi asks, what does it mean to be holy? And he gives an answer, and he says, it's if you're able to control your yetzer. You're able to kovesh et yitro. You're able to capture your urges. And in doing so, the word control or to capture, kovesh, is not to destroy, but it hints at this idea of recognizing that who we are, that we thirst, have appetites, and we should not act in denial of those things, but rather the goal is to channel them. And what does Yom Kippur set us up to do? On Yom Kippur, we enter into a space where all of the things that can draw our attention and urges are removed. We all step away from our work. We all dress, supposed to, in the same color, white, to sort of step away from the competition, perhaps, that might drive us. We step away from food. We step away from intimacy. And we enter a space where we almost give our internal soul a reprieve, a chance just to breathe, as opposed to being outside in the world where all of those sources of hunger are located. I have a dog. I have 2 dogs. One, great. The other one, Nala, is a great example of what it means to be controlled by all of your urges. Okay? Now, here's the point. She's a great dog. She's a great dog, and she means very well. But if she sees food, it does not matter who is in front of her. She will just go right to the food. And if my other smaller dog's in the way, she's just pushed out. And Nala doesn't bark. She's not angry about it. I see food, I'm going to go there. If you've ever been a guest in my home, I'm going to apologize in advance for this. Nala likes to kiss people, just loves to kiss people. She doesn't care if her 60-pound frame might overwhelm someone who's got a bad back or is a little bit frail. No, she just wants to go and kiss people. So her nature is very good, but the destruction and perhaps some of the harm that she can cause can be damaging, which is a way perhaps of looking at how we can approach Yom Kippur. We all have things that we want, but when we're unable to manage those things, we can cause harm to ourselves. By the way, had a couple doctor visits based on what my dog has ingested, and we can cause damage to others. And when we're able to enter into a space where we don't have those distractions, it can actually be very freeing. Almost like what it is to enter into my bedroom at night, where Nala, after a long day of following her urges, is tired and there's no sources of food or anything like that, and she just rests peacefully. That's the first thing perhaps Yom Kippur helps us see. The second can be found in the 2 sacrifices that we are to bring on Yom Kippur. Now, throughout the year, if you want to bring a chet offering, there's one animal that you should bring. Anyone know what it is? A goat. Very good. Unfortunately, as a result of the choice of our Torah and this animal, goats have this nefarious image and chaval. So during the year, a goat. On Yom Kippur, we add 2 other elements that are very instructive. The first is we add another goat. And the second is we add in a cattle. And the question is, what's going on here? I'm going to start with the cattle. Normally, a cattle is used for constructive purposes. If you want to plow your field, you want to get your field ready so that it can be a source of agricultural and produce and growth, you need a strong, forceful animal that can help you prepare your field for growth. And just like an animal can be a source of constructive growth, so too, what does it mean to be human? We want to have an impact in this world. We are commanded, as part of our preparation for Shabbat, to have malacha during the week. And alas, if that part of being a human, this element of wanting to build, of wanting to make this world better, perhaps goes unmanaged, it can lead to something that can be destructive. And then we have the goat. And what's the extra goat there to remind us of? It's very interesting. A goat, whereas a cattle, according to Rav Kook, can be a source of construction. A goat is a source of destruction. What does a goat do? A goat wants to feed. If some of us, I think we did this when we had forest fires a number of years ago, you could purchase goats and they would eat the grass. They would destroy the land. And if you notice, a goat has got hooves, it's to uproot the grass and then to chew it. And the goat being paired to the cattle gives us a sense of being part of the cycle of life, that we build and we destroy. We build and we destroy. It's almost like the sacred spiral. And if that cycle gets out of balance, it can lead to something that is very corrosive. But the cattle and the goat remind us of a balance that, yes, can be a source of much destruction, but at the same time is part of what it means to be a human being. And on Yom Kippur, we look at these two elements, and instead of feeling shame for elements of destruction and being a part of this balance, and being part of this world, we seek ways to incorporate these two pieces in a more balanced manner. And lastly, this goat that we have, this new goat, it's not killed. This goat that we have is sent off into the wilderness. The Torah even adds to be with the demons. Now, what's going on here? This is probably the most strangest piece here. Torah is hinting that there is something to be learned from the role that destruction can play in this world. If we believe that there is one God, then we have to recognize that things that under the umbrella of God also exists sin. And what do we do with these elements of sin that we can't figure out? They're urges that we can't channel to a higher purpose. There's behaviors that we can't figure out a way to place in a healthy construction and destruction cycle. What do we do with them? Well, we can't have them in our community or in our society because they would be destructive. But at the same time, we can't completely destroy them because they are elements of God. More specifically, we all have failings. We are all not perfect. And instead of saying to our imperfections and to our failings, that is not part of God, we rather say it's a part of God, but yet that part of God does not have a space in this community. And it's therefore placed in an unknown wilderness. And it could also be the challenges we have with understanding God. Instead of being faced with the burden of wrestling in a way that we don't understand them, Yom Kippur's ritual says, give them the space, place them in an area where they're not going to be a part of the regular day and age, but at the same time you recognize that they exist. And maybe in the upcoming year, that mysterious wilderness will become more known because you'll understand an element of yourself or about the way you see this world, or maybe not. But nevertheless, we don't destroy it. When we think of all three of these elements, instead of feeling shame, instead of being in denial, Yom Kippur challenges us to see ourselves as we truly are. And the goal is that as we look into that type of mirror, we can find a sense of joy that the Baal Shem Tov experienced. Shabbat Shalom.